Hello and welcome to my channel Distinctive Crochet. My name is Priscilla. In today's tutorial I'll teach you how to add crochet mesh to a tank top. First I'll show you how to add your yarn to your tank top, and then I'll show you how to pick up those stitches to go ahead and start crocheting the mesh stitch. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. For this tutorial you will need a tank top, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle that's sharp enough to pierce the fabric, a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook, which is a US F5, and I will be using this wool-like loops and thread yarn, which is a superfine number 1. You will also need 6 stitch markers. I'll be using paper clips, and you will also need a measuring tape. And guys, if you were wondering about that headband I was wearing at the beginning of the tutorial, that is my bun catcher headband. I also have a tutorial out for that, and I will link that down below. But now, on to the tutorial for adding mesh to your tank top. Alright everyone, so the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and take the yarn we're using and just cut out a length of yarn so that we can sew it into our tank top. So the first thing you need to do is just lay it down, and you want to get enough so that it goes around at least twice, and then maybe just a little bit more than that. Alright, so I'm just going to try to straighten it around. Okay, so here's one time around, and then I need to go around one more time. This just gives us a good estimate about how much we need to cut off so that we'll have plenty to sew in, to have stitches to work off of. So right about there will give me my 2 rounds, but we want to cut a little bit extra. So I have a knot right here, so I'm just going to cut it right at the knot, and that'll give me my little bit extra. Let's see if I can find the tail. Oh, there it goes. Alright. Alright, so now once you have that done, you want to just grab your needle and then go ahead and thread your needle. So we're just using a single strand of this. We're not doubling it up. So just put it right through. There we go. And then just pull out a little bit of tail. Okay, so now that we have it threaded, what we need to do next is just grab our tank top and start at the back. I'm going to start right at the middle back. And you can see this seam right here. So that's where we'll be going into. We're going to go right in between there, but you want to make sure that you're not on the other side. So we're on the inside of there, but not piercing it all the way through to the back. So just right on that inside there. And now we just need to push our needle up through the fabric, and maybe about 1/4 inch increments. And so just pull it through all the way through so that you just have a nice tail left behind. So that's about good for a nice tail to sew in later. And then that way we can secure it when we finished. So now I'm just going to go back in and out and back in and out, trying to get them in even increments, about 1/4 inch apart, but you don't really have to measure, just want to eyeball it. And once you go in and out a few times, you just want to check and make sure you're not going on the other side of the fabric. And then you can just pull it through, but then again you don't want to pull it too tight because you're gonna have to pick it up with your crochet hook. But you can also loosen it up, but just check and see with your crochet hook and make sure you can get it through those loops. You can always use your tail to help loosen it up as well if you need to. So now we just want to keep going in and out just in the same manner. And then once you have it through a few times, you're just going to go ahead and pull it through again. And then you want to make sure that you're not pulling it too tightly as well. There we go. Just pull it through. And if you need to pull them back up with your needle, go ahead and do that. And then just keep going all the way around. You want to even go around the armholes or the shoulder straps because you're working on the top of that part. So keep going around the arms as well. And then that way it's just nice and even all the way around. So each time after you go in through a few, just pull it through, making sure you have some slack so you can get your hook through. And just keep following that same thing all the way around. Just going in and out, and then pulling through and making sure it's not too tight. And you're just going to keep going all the way around. And then right till you get to the middle back. And when I get there, I'll meet you back. And if you can see here, this is just what it looks like there. And that's all you're doing all the way around. You just have those little loops, and that's where we'll be putting our crochet hook into. So just check it and make sure it's not too tight, and keep doing that all the way around. When I get here, I'll meet you back. Okay, so I made it back around. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Okay, here we go. So I just have a couple more stitches to go. And you don't need to worry about how many stitches you have. Everybody's going to have a different number. You just want to do your best to make sure they're evenly spaced at about a 1/4 inch apart. But you can just really eyeball it and just try to make them the same distance apart from each other. So I just need to do about one more right about here. All right. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to take off my needle, and I'll weave those ends in later. But you can leave them out just in case you need to use a little more slack in your stitches. You can just pull it from there and it'll loosen right up. So now you just want to grab in your yarn so that you can add it in, and just go ahead and grab your crochet hook and go into your first loop, which is like right at the middle back. You want to insert your hook and then go ahead and slip stitch to join. Make sure you leave a nice long tail to weave in later. And then once you have that joined, go ahead and single crochet right into the same stitch. And just pull it down a little bit and tighten it up a little bit. Now we're just going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go ahead and turn our work so our stitches are on the right side of the fabric. And then we can go ahead and single crochet right into your next stitch. If you feel like that's too close or too far apart, you may need to chain more if it's too far apart. If it's too close, you might just need to skip a loop. So then just go into the next stitch and single crochet, and then chain 3 again, and then single crochet into your next loop, and then go ahead and chain up 3 and single crochet right into your next loop. And like I said, guys, if they're too close, go ahead and skip it. If it's too far apart, you may need to chain a few more, maybe 5. So all you want to do is just chain the amount that you need, and then go ahead and single crochet into the next loop. You just want to make sure it's not too many close together, because then it'll be too wobbly. But once you have that worked out, guys, you're just going to keep repeating that all the way around. And when I get to my last stitch, I'll show you what to do next. So I'll meet you back when I get there. Alright guys, so I made it back around. So I have that last stitch to go. I did my chain 3 already, so I'm just ready to go ahead and single crochet into that loop. So I'm not going to join, I'm just going to chain 3 and then single crochet right into that next one. Alright, so I'm just going to single crochet right into that chain 3 space. And that's how you close that round. So we're going to do some decreases on this round, but everybody's probably going to have a different amount of stitches, and you're going to have to a different amount of decreases, but you do want to do some on this round. So let me just show you guys. Okay, so let me straighten this out just a little bit. So as you crochet around, the circumference of the tank top is going to start getting smaller and smaller. So you will be needing to do some kind of decreases. So I'm just going to put mine right at the back here, one right here on the sleeve, and then one right here on this curve, another on this curve, another one on the sleeve on that side, and then one in the back. So it's pretty much like a mirror. So right there on those curved spaces that I was showing you, and you can place your stitch markers there in those spaces if you need to, but those are the areas that you probably want to focus in on to do your decreases. Everybody's going to have a different number of stitches depending on how many loops you sewed in or the size of your t-shirt, but just focus in on those areas to do your decreases. And if it's too bunchy, you probably might need to make more decreases. If it's too far apart, you might not need to make any at all. You don't want to stretch the fabric too much, but just focus in on those areas there for your decreases, and make sure you match them up on the opposite side as well. So whatever you do on that side, do it on that side. So I'm just going to turn mine back around, and then I'll do part of the decrease with you guys. Alright, so I'm going to chain up 3 first, and now I'm just going to go ahead and go into this next stitch and pull up a loop, and then instead of completing the single crochet, I'm going to go into the next stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 for that first decrease. So now I'm just going to go ahead and chain up 3, go right into the next chain 3 space, work a single crochet, and then I'll just go ahead and keep chaining up 3 and working the same way until I get to my next decrease. I'll just chain up 3 and then single crochet right into that next space, and then I'll chain up 3 again and single crochet right into the next space, chain up 3, single crochet right into that next chain 3 space, chain up 3, and single crochet right into the chain 3 space, chain up 3, and single crochet right into the chain up 3 space. So I'm getting close to my seam here, and you can see that right there. So I'm probably just going to go one more, and then I'll probably do a decrease after that. So I'm just going to single crochet right into this chain 3 space, and then on this next one I'm going to go ahead and decrease. So I need my chain 3 first. So I just need to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then go right into the very next one and pull up a loop and yarn over and pull through all 3 for that decrease. And then I'll just keep working that same mesh stitch until I get to the next decrease. So you just need to chain 3 and go right into the next stitch. But you do want to make sure you're not doing too many decreases, because you don't want your fabric to pull. So just keep an eye on that. Since everyone is going to be different, just keep an eye on how yours is turning out and make sure that it's not too bunchy or too stretched and pulled apart. And then if it is, guys, just go ahead and make those changes. That just means if it's pulling, you don't need as many decreases. If it's too bunchy, you might need a few more. Okay, so I'm just going to single crochet right into this next space, and then I'm going right into the next space with a single crochet. And let me check and see where I'm at to see where I want to do my decrease. So right along that curve is where I want to go. So I just have a few more stitches. So I'm just going to keep chaining 3, single crochet into that next space, chain up 3, single crochet into the next space, chain up 3, single crochet into this space, and then right about here is where we want to do the decrease. So I'm going to go ahead and decrease over these next 2. So I'll chain 3 first, insert my hook into the next chain 3 space and pull up a loop, go into the next space and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Alright, and then I'm just going to chain 3 and single crochet into the next chain 3 space. So those were the areas that I put my decreases in. Let me show you guys. So I just did this side here, and then I put those decreases in those spaces. So now you just want to repeat those same areas on the other side, kind of like mirroring. So one here on that curve, one here right before the seam, and then one right in the back. So I'll meet you back when I do that decrease there. So I'm just going to keep going around, and I'll meet you back right there at that decrease. Alright, so I made it back around. So I'm going to go ahead and do this stitch and decrease right here. So I'm just going to chain up 3, and then I'll insert my hook and pull up a loop, insert my hook into the next space and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. And then I'll chain 3, and then I'm at my last stitch for this round. So I'll just single crochet right into that chain 3 space. Alright, and so for this next round, all we have to do is just a plain mesh stitch. So we're just going to chain 3 and single crochet into the next space all the way around. So pretty much you're just working a plain round and then a decrease round and then a plain round and a decrease round. So I'm just going to chain up 3 and then single crochet right into the next stitch. Don't worry about joining, we're just working in a spiral. So we're just going to chain up 3 again and single crochet into the next space. And then we'll keep repeating this all the way around until we get to the back, middle back again. So just keep working on that, and then I'll meet you back when I have mine. Alright, so I made it back. I just have this last stitch here, so I'm going to chain 3, and then I'll single crochet right into that space. So this is going to be the start of the next round here. So this round is we're going to be doing a decrease round. So let me show you guys again where to put your decreases at, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my stitch markers just so you can see them a little bit better. So I'm just going to grab my paper clips and then put them in those spaces where I decreased. So I just finished around there, and then that's the direction we're working in. So my first decrease, I want to put my stitch marker um, right at the back, at the middle back. So right at the stitch after that, I'll go ahead and put my decrease. So I'll just mark that space right there. So for the next decrease, you want to go ahead and find that seam for the sleeve, and then you'll put your stitch marker in the stitch right after that seam there. So right in there, there's the seam, and so I'll mark this stitch right about here. So then you want to decrease along this curve here. So right there, I'm going to put another stitch marker right there. And then I just want to mirror the same thing on the other side. So I'll grab another stitch marker, and right about there along the curve here, maybe right in here. Actually, I think I'll move it over just a little bit more. Yep, right about there. That looks better. So let me grab another stitch marker, and then right before that seam there, you want to put another one to do another decrease. And then the last one is going to be right before we end our round. We want to put one more decrease back there. So right in there. So I'm not going to tell you what number of stitch is going to be because everybody's going to be different, but just put them right in those areas and mark them with your stitch markers, and then we can continue on with this next decrease round. Alright, so I'm just going to chain up 3 and single crochet right into the next space. And now we made it to our first stitch marker, so we're going to go ahead and do our decrease. We need to chain up 3, insert our hook into that next chain 3 space, pull up a loop, go to the next space, insert your hook, and pull up a loop, yarn over, and you're going to pull through all 3. And then we'll chain up 3, and then go right into the next stitch and make a single crochet and chain 3 and go right into the next space and single crochet. Just working that regular mesh stitch until we get to our next stitch marker where we'll put in a decrease. But if you see any other places that might need a decrease, go ahead and put them in if you feel like there's too many stitches there. If not, then just keep working the regular mesh stitch. So I'm at my next stitch marker, so I'm just going to go ahead and insert my hook and pull up a loop and go to the next space, insert my hook and pull up a loop, and then I'll yarn over and pull through all 3, and I'll chain up 3 and single crochet into the next space and keep working that same mesh stitch until we reach our next stitch marker. So I'm going to chain up 3, whoops, and go into the next stitch. And I have a few more to go before I get to my next stitch marker. So just keep working that same mesh stitch, chaining up 3, and then single crocheting into the next chain 3 space. Yeah, I just got a couple. Uh-oh, I dropped my stitch marker. That's all right. I just have a couple more to go. Let me just check in and see. Yeah, I'll just go ahead right here and do a decrease. So I'm just going to chain up 3, and then I'll go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, go right into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 for that decrease. Now chain up 3 and single crochet into the next chain 3 space. And let me show you guys what this looks like so far. Alright, so let me just get this straightened out here. So you're pretty much just going to complete your round, making sure you put your decreases in where you placed your stitch markers. So I just have this one here on the curve, the one here by the seam, and the one in the back. And then in between, you just do your chain 3 mesh stitches. So I'll meet you back when I get mine. Alright, so I made it back around. So there's my last stitch there. So I have my chain 3. Now I'm just going to single crochet right into that space. And for this round, we're just going to do a plain round of that mesh stitch without any decreases. So also at this point, you could try it on and see if you need more rounds at all. You might not need any more. So if you don't, you can just go ahead and slip stitch to join and then fasten off. But for me, I need to go ahead and add a few more rounds because mine was pretty low. So for this round, we're just going to do that plain mesh stitch all the way around without any decreases. So you just chain up 3 and then single crochet into your next chain 3 space. I'm going to go ahead and work mine off camera, and then I'll come back when I'm done. Alright, so I made it back around, and I'm just going into this last stitch. So I'm just going to put a single crochet right in there. And this is a decrease round, so I still have my stitch markers attached. So let me show you again. So I have this one here. This one is the one that fell. Let me see if I can grab that and put that back in. Let's see. I think it is right. Yep, right there. So I'm just going to place that back in there, tighten that in a little bit. So then over here is my next one. Over here by the seam. And then the last one in the back right there. So just go ahead and keep doing that all the way around for your decrease round. And you can keep trying it on and see if you like it before you add any more rows, just to check and see. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. And even if you stretch it and block it out a little bit, it could stretch even more for you. I probably won't block mine out though, so I'm just going to keep adding a few more rows. So just do your decreases, and then I'll meet you back when I'm on. Alright, so I made it back. Now I'm just going to go ahead and chain up 3 and single crochet right into the last stitch there. And this is the end of my end round. I actually worked about 3 more rounds, so I'm just going to slip stitch to join here. And so I'm just going to make sure I have a nice tail to weave in, and I'll cut my yarn and fasten off by pulling my yarn through. So this is what it looks like here. let me see if I can, I think I did about 9 rounds for mine, but everybody's is going to be a little bit different. So mine was pretty low, so I wanted to add a good amount. And if I measure it for you guys, you can see it's about 2 inches, 2 inches in, because mine was pretty low for me. So it's going to be different for everybody depending on your style of t-shirt. But that was good for me. But just make sure that you have enough for you, and you can always just try it on in between. But for this next part, I'm just going to show you how to go ahead and weave in your ends. And these tails here are the ones that's the one that we slip stitched to join, and these 2 tails are the ones that we were weaving in and out to get our initial stitches or loops. So I'm just going to knot these 2 together so they can be nice and secure and they won't come out. And I'll just do that a couple times. All right, and now that is the slip stitch to join tail, so I'm just going to go ahead and knot that one up too, just for extra security. And I'll just do that a couple times as well. It's on the inside, so you don't really have to worry about it. It'll be nice and hidden when we're done. So I'll just show you guys how to weave in the one of these tails, and then I'll do the rest off camera, just so you can get an idea about how to hide this and secure it nice and secure. Alright, so now I got my needle threaded. The first thing I want to do is just kind of go down and up through that fabric, and then I'm going to go through some of the stitches. I'm sorry, let me get back on camera. So I'm just going to go up through there, and then I'll start weaving in and out of those stitches just like you would with a regular crochet project, making sure that I'm going up in one direction and down in another. You definitely want to go into several directions and up and through a few stitches so that it's really hard just to pull out. So I'm going to go back this way now and down. And once you have it pretty well in a few different directions, you can just come on back down and through into that fabric, the seam area. And then just go right in through there and then down through that seam. I'm just going to pull it out and through. And then I'll go, hold on, let me focus it a little bit better so you guys can see. Okay, there, that's better. So there I went down there, and now I'm just going to come right next to it and come back up a little bit. And then I want to go back through that loop, creating a knot. And now I'm just going to come back in through that seam in between, making sure I'm not on that other side of the fabric. So you're just going to go. So I'm just going to check. Okay, I'm not through. So yeah, you just want to make sure you're not through that other side of the fabric. You want to stay in between that that seam there. So I'm just going to pull it out there and give it a little stretch and pull. And then I'll just snip that tail right there. Okay. Give it another little tug and it'll hide right on in there. And you're going to go ahead and repeat that same method with the rest of your tails, in and out, and then come down through the seam and make a little knot, and then hide it in that seam there. So once I get mine done, I'll come back and show you what it looks like. All right, and I made it back. I have all my tails woven in. and I hit them right here along this seam so you can't see it. And if I flip it to the back, there's no visible lines on the back or stitching on the back. It's all hidden on the inside. So now I just get to enjoy my tank top, and it came out very beautiful. I really like how it turned out. The mesh stitch gives me just that little bit of coverage without adding too much. It's still breathable, and it's really great for the summertime. So I hope you enjoy your tank top as much as I enjoy mine. All right, everyone. So here is what the finished tank top looks like on. It came out really beautiful. It adds style and class to a simple tank top. It also gave me the coverage that I needed. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.